And that concludes the iPhone 16 lineup, but for those who want a lower-end, cheaper iPhone, we still have the 15 available as well. Are you still gonna sell the 15 Pro, or is no talking about the 15 Pro. It doesn't exist. But you said the regular 15 is sticking around, so why can't the 15 Pro stick around? It's not an option in the lineup. You clearly should just go for the 16 Pro.
Yeah, what if that's too expensive? What if someone wants last year's model for a little bit cheaper?
We can't have more than one Pro in the lineup, okay? It's just 16 Pro and everyone else.
I mean, you have a Pro and a Pro Max, so that's kind of like having two Pros when you think about it.
Jimmy, I will slap the living crap out of you if you don't stop talking right now.
Fine, but, it's in certified refurbished, right?
Okay, shut up, just do your thing.
Thank you!
The rumors keep stacking up for the iPhone 16 series, and I've got to admit, well, I know in the past I've gone back and forth on whether or not I want to hold on to an iPhone for a super long time or upgrade it a year or two later. The more the rumors are stacking up, it doesn't sound like it's going to be that hard to skip over the 16 Pro series. Just like I had no problem skipping over the 14 Pro just because it was so similar to the 13 Pro, but in many ways it feels like they're making the 16 Pro, depending on what you prioritize in a phone, a little bit worse than the 15 Pro in several ways. So first of all, most recent reports are saying that Apple is experimenting with a more glossy finish for the titanium on the 16 Pro. Maybe because marketing-wise, Apple thinks the current titanium on the 15 Pros look too similar to aluminum or something. Some people really like that mirror finish, and maybe Apple feels more confident in their anti-fingerprint coatings that they're putting on the new MacBooks or something, because personally, I always hated the stainless steel on the iPhone Pro series. It was always really fingerprinty. It added additional weight that did not need to be there. So I think the only reason they had glossy steel on the higher end iPhones was just to make them look or feel a little bit more premium, which I don't really care about that. Most people are going to get a case anyway, but personally I'm worried that they're going to go back to that glossy finish on the Pro series again, which actually gives me more motivation to hold on to my 15 Pro because it's got the matte finish that I like, and especially if you get a lighter tone 15 Pro like the silver color, it's very, very hard for you to ever see fingerprints on it. It cleans up really nice, especially paired with the frosted glass back. It's kind of like peak iPhone design for me. So I am not looking forward to the 16 Pro if they do end up switching over to the more glossy look, because I just am a big fan of matte finishes. Secondly is a report that we've been hearing for a while, and it's all but confirmed. You know, nothing is officially confirmed until Apple announces it, but this one is sounding pretty likely. Apple is increasing the size of the smaller iPhone this year too, meaning that the 16 Pro is jumping to 6.3 inches from 6.1 inches. And as a big fan of the mini iPhones, and as someone who still wishes Apple would keep making the mini ones, I totally would have bought an iPhone 15 mini if they had it, but unfortunately, it feels like every year they just keep getting bigger and bigger. I'm not that excited by this report. I mean, I'm happy for you if you want iPhones to be bigger, but I always thought, you know, let the Pro Max or the Ultra or whatever they call it, let that be the ginormous phablet that people buy if they want a bigger phone. But for the people out there that wanted a more portable, smaller phone, I think that 6.1 inch size has served a lot of people greatly over the years, especially with the 15 Pro, because they shrunk down on the borders overall, allowing the screen to stay the same size as before, but now it's a smaller footprint. And honestly, the 15 Pro is pretty close in size to a lot of people's favorite iPhone design, the iPhone 10. The 15 Pro is just a little bit taller, but the weight dropped a lot thanks to them ditching steel, and I really like the form factor of the 15 Pro. If anything, I wish it was just a little bit smaller. Like a lot of you, I want an iPhone 15 Pro mini or just a regular mini because that form factor was awesome, super comfortable, fit in my pocket really easily, and of course the smaller sizes usually help with the affordability of the product. So the fact that they're jumping not just the Pro Max to be 6.7 inches, but now even the regular non-Pro for people who don't want the big screen to be even bigger at 6.3 inches, yeah, I'm not too tempted by that, because if anything, I feel like my phone is too big, and now they're trying to make even the small sizes big, which is like, stop, guys, slow down. We're slowly eliminating options for people who want smaller phones, but just giving people who want bigger phones more and more and more options to choose from, and I'm kind of getting tired of it. So the screen size is not great, and of course, every time we jump in screen size, you know, higher resolution, bigger battery, fancier display and all that, it increases the risk of the price going up as well. It's far too early to know for sure what the prices are going going to be for the iPhone 16 series, but there's definitely been times in the past where Apple will increase the size of the display and use that as a justification for a higher price point. And of course, they could up the default storage configurations, just like they did with the 15 Pro Max, so they can brag about, well, technically, it's the same price for the equivalent storage as before. So when you think about it, it's not really a price hike if you're a smart, reasonable human being who buys a terabyte on their iPhone every year. Yeah, no, I really hope it doesn't happen this year. Apple's had the $999 starting price for the Pro iPhones for so long now, but with inflation and everything, it's only a matter of time before they inevitably increase it. But even if they don't end up increasing it, we all know that the 15 Pro is going to be cheaper than the 16 Pro when it comes out, because you'll be able to buy it refurbished, and it's out for a while now already, so you could probably find deals at certain carriers or certain resellers anyway. But just another reason to hold on to the 15 Pro for another year. And lastly is one that I've actually seen a lot of backlash on, even though I'm kind of interested and excited to see what happens with the whole iPhone 16 capture button technology. It's supposed to be like a solid state button, so it doesn't physically move up and down, but it acts as a trackpad and kind of like a photo taking button on a DSLR, where you can apply some pressure to it for the camera to focus and then apply more pressure for the photo to actually be taken. And because it's like a trackpad on your AirPods, you can swipe it up and down, and that allows you to zoom in or zoom out, or who knows what kind of software features they could bake into this capture button. I think it's kind of interesting, but every time we talk about it on videos, I get all these comments that say, oh my god, how many buttons do we have to add back to this thing? Did everybody forget about BlackBerry? You know, I thought we were trying to put more things on the display. Now it feels like we're going back the other way. Let's add more buttons to the iPhone. And I know some people who have said, you know, I just want my action button for the camera. I don't want the action button and a camera button. Like, there's just too much going on. If you're not interested in the concept of a capture button, the 15 Pro might feel a little bit more minimal to you. It might feel a little bit more clean because you won't have a capture button to worry about, and you can just stick with using the action button the way you have it. It is feeling a little ridiculous that potentially on the 16 Pro, you can activate the camera by holding the bottom right button on the lock screen, or you can swipe to the left to activate the camera, or you can press the action button, or you can press the capture button. Like, there might be literally 4 different ways to activate the camera on the iPhone 16 Pro, which feels a little bit ridiculous, but feels like every year these iPhones are becoming more and more camera-focused devices than they are smartphone-focused devices. So I guess giving it more camera features kind of makes sense. Of course, there's lots of features I'm sure Apple's going to come up with on the A18 Pro chip, and there could be some more AI capabilities that only the iPhone 16 Pro can do. So I'm not trying to say that in all ways, objectively speaking, the 15 Pro is the better product. I'm just listing in today's video a lot of the ways that are kind of stacking up in which the 15 Pro might be the better shot. And I think there's a very legitimate reason that Apple keeps around the lower end iPhones and sells those for cheaper, but they quickly discontinue and stop selling the Pro iPhones because so many people honestly would buy those, and I think it would affect the sales of the new iPhones coming out every year if they kept around the Pros. And because Apple's trying to sweep them under the rug, like, don't think about the prices on those, don't think about that, just look at the current lineup as it stands today. To me, that's honestly like clear as day evidence that those are probably the best deals because Apple doesn't want you to think about them. 15 Pro, once again, is kind of gonna feel like the iPhone 11 Pro back in the day, which was still a fantastic phone. Even a year after it came out and Apple, you know, swept it under the rug, discontinues it, tells you not to think about it, but great battery life, more comfortable to hold than the 12 Pro, still had a fantastic camera, still an overall great experience. I'm feeling a repeat now with the 15 Pro, where this thing is gonna age particularly well, in my opinion. But am I wrong? Do you think the 16 Pro is going to convince me that I need a new iPhone again? Feel free to let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And thank you to everybody supporting this channel directly. Seriously, helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. So thanks again. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you all in the next one.